Over the past few years, I've noticed something small. After work, downstairs by an apartment building or somewhere along the street, I often see someone standing alone, lighting a cigarette and smoking it very slowly. It is not part of a gathering. It is not a social moment. They are not speaking to anyone, nor do they appear to be waiting for someone to arrive. At first, I paid little attention to it. But over time, I began to notice that things like this often appeared alongside one particular condition pressure. And eventually, I realized that this pattern was not entirely new. Before Japan entered its prolonged period of stagnation, many accounts described similar changes in ordinary behavior. During periods of economic decline, these subtle details tend to surface again and again. People do not necessarily become poor overnight. What disappears first is often their confidence in the future. I first became aware of this idea when I was reading The Lost Two Decades. One sentence stayed with me. In a downward cycle, the first thing to change is not the data, it is human behavior. When people become uncertain about the future, long-term rewards begin to feel distant and unreliable. Plans that once seemed realistic start to feel abstract, and when the future becomes harder to trust, immediate comfort becomes more appealing. That is why, during the same period, we can see more smoking, more late nights, and more impulsive forms of consumption. These behaviors should not be understood simply as moral failures. They are instinctive responses to accumulated pressure. They are ways of coping when people feel that future is no longer fully within their control. If we zoom out from the individual, the same logic can also be seen in companies. There are fewer positions, shorter projects, and more flexible forms of employment. Work has not disappeared completely. What is disappearing is stability. Core departments may remain protected, while peripheral roles are gradually separated, outsourced, or made temporary. In this process, risk is not eliminated, it is transferred. It moves from institutions to individuals. Many of the changes we are witnessing today look less than the end of the world, and more like an adjustment within a downward cycle. A cycle can be uncomfortable. It can create anxiety, insecurity, and confusion. But a cycle is not the same as an apocalypse. When we understand that we are living through a cycle, we become less likely to blame every form of pressure on ourselves. We stop reducing everything to one question. Am I simply not working hard enough? Instead, we begin to distinguish more clearly between what is structural and what is temporary. This understanding does not immediately solve the problem. It does not remove uncertainty overnight, but it can create a psychological buffer. It allows us to look at pressure with a little more distance and with a little less fear. Sometimes understanding what is happening is already a form of protection.